We are nearing the end of our series from the book of Philemon. One message today and one next week, and then we will start another series. But for now, let us go back to the book of Philemon. We are going to look at verses 21 and 22. But let me begin in verse 20, where Paul wrote to Philemon and said, "I do wish, brother, that I may have some benefit from you in the Lord. Refresh my heart in Christ." And then in verse 20 to 22, he says, "Confident of your obedience, I write to you, knowing that you will do even more than I ask. And one thing more, prepare a guest room for me, because I hope to be restored to you in answer to your prayers." So, three things that I would like for us to see from this passage that concerns reconciliation and relationship. But before that, let me ask you this question. Do you know of someone who you know will never turn you down? And you know you can always go to that person, and that person, no matter how busy he is or how difficult situation may be, if he cannot give to you directly what you need, will do something to help you out so that someone can help you. Do you know of someone like that? We are blessed that we know of people like that, right? That if you are in trouble or if you're in need, you can call this person, and like I said, you know, he will try to do everything. He will bend over backwards just so he could help you. And there are people who will do that. Some of us probably, we would do that for other people, right? Or we've probably done that for other people. Well, that's kind of like the relationship that Paul had with Philemon. And so Paul could write to Philemon so openly and so freely and say, "You know what, Philemon? I am sending you Onesimus, okay? And you know what? I have total confidence in your obedience. Confident that you will do what is right. Confident that you will obey what I am telling you to do, or that you will obey Christ in His command for us to be forgiving and to be kind and to be nice to the people that we are serving and to be reconciled to whom we were in conflict with." Paul is telling Philemon, "I am confident of your obedience." Confidence. Now, remember, Paul was appealing to Philemon in love, right? And then here is Paul again going back to the obedience that he is confident that Philemon had in his heart. He knew that Philemon will always choose to do what is right. That there is integrity in the heart of Philemon. That even though maybe Philemon in his heart would feel like, "I don't know if I want to be reconciled to Onesimus. Oh yes, I will just forgive him, but I don't want to see him." You know, situations like that. But Paul says, "I am confident that you will do what is right." You see, integrity in a person will always move a person to always do what is right, no matter what. Even if it's against your emotion. Because it is the right thing to do, you will do it. Paul said, "I have confidence in your obedience." And of course, when we speak of obedience, we speak of a command that has to be obeyed. And Paul again is speaking of his authority as an apostle over Philemon, and of course the authority of Christ over Philemon, that Philemon should obey. It's good to know of someone like Philemon, in whom we can have confidence. Oh, I know he will do what is right. I know he will do what is right. But then Paul did not stop there. Paul went on and said, "Well, As a matter of fact, he said, I know. He said that you will do even more than what I asked. So it's not just confidence in Philemon's obedience. It's confidence in Philemon's graciousness. Paul was confident that not only was Philemon going to be obedient, but that he believed that there truly is grace in the heart of Philemon. What does that mean? Well, you see, grace always does more than what is expected. That's what grace does. A gracious person will always do more than what's expected. That's why we walk what we call the extra mile. Remember Jesus said that? If someone asks you to go a mile, walk 2 miles. If someone asks you for your jacket, go ahead and give him your entire cloak. Right? That's grace. That's grace. So not only was Paul confident of Philemon's obedient faith, he was confident of Philemon's graciousness. Because like I said, grace will always do more than what is expected. When a person understands grace and receives grace and wants to exercise grace, he will do more. Do you remember Zacchaeus? Remember Zacchaeus? A story of a man that you can read in Luke chapter 19 who wanted to see Christ, and so he climbed up a sycamore tree just so he can see Christ walk by Jericho. And finally, Christ walked by where he was, and Jesus looked up and said, Zacchaeus, come down. I'm going to your house today. And Zacchaeus, rushed down and allowed Jesus to come into his house. And then Zacchaeus had been wanting to meet Jesus Christ, apparently. That's why he went to the trouble of going up the sycamore tree, just so he can see Jesus Christ. But Jesus did not just allow Zacchaeus to see him. Jesus even said, hey, I'm going to your house. I'm not just going to let you see me. I will even go to your house. That's grace, especially knowing that Zacchaeus was a wicked man. He was a corrupt, internal revenue guy. He was collecting more than what he was supposed to. But then Jesus said, I will go to your house, no matter how sinful you are. See, that's grace. That's grace. So, Jesus did. But then, when Zacchaeus came to know Jesus Christ, you know what Zacchaeus did? He said, whatever I took from people, if you read Luke chapter 19, he said, I will return the money to them 4 times. That's grace. Grace always does more than what is expected. When we speak of the grace of Jesus Christ, actually the grace of Jesus Christ, I have said this many times, that the grace of Jesus will give to us the opposite of what we deserve. We deserve hell, but instead He will give us heaven. That's what grace does. And so when Paul wrote to Philemon was told by Paul that, I know you will obey because you're an obedient man, but I also know that you will do more than what I ask of you. Actually, that's what happens. That's the result of having the grace of God. And what happens when we are gracious, reconciliation happens. That's why many conflicts on earth doesn't happen. You know why? Because we all have conditions and we say, I will only go as far as this and no more. Anything more you ask of me, just forget it. I'm walking out. And so we give up on relationships because we're not willing to be gracious. We negotiate relationships like we negotiate cars. I was with a guy this week. He said he wanted to buy a car, and so we took it there and said, "But my budget is only up to $5,000." So we got there, and the guy said, "Well, out the door, 5,000 something." He said, "No, I only have 5,000." And he said, "What should I do?" I said, "Well, you have the budget. You stick with your budget." And so I said, "No, you can't really go down." The guy kept negotiating. He said, "No, I don't have." So what do we do? And he asked us, "So what do you do?" And you walk out. I said, "Can you walk out?" So he wanted the car so bad, but he only has a $5,000 budget, and so he said, "Do we walk out?" I said, "I don't know. It's not my money." And so I said, "Well, walk out." So you walk. Sometimes we're like that with relationships. Sometimes we are like that. Paul tells Philemon, "I know you will do more than what I ask, because grace gives more than what is expected, and grace even gives the opposite of what is deserved." That's the confidence that Paul had in Philemon. And oh, by the way, Philemon, Paul says, "I am coming, so prepare a room for me." Remember, you told me that you're praying that I would be released, and if I ever need a place to stay, you said I can come to you and stay in your house. That's basically what Paul is telling Philemon. And so here we see also Paul very confident in Philemon's hospitality. In Philemon's hospitality. But Paul said, "Prepare a room for me, for I am coming." Because I know you're praying for me to be able to get out of prison and then stay with you. And of course, Philemon probably offered Paul in his old age, because at this time, Paul is in his old age, saying, "You come live with me, and I'll take care of you." That's hospitality with grace. So for us, the question is, what kind of confidence does God have in me? In terms of my grace, my hospitality, and my obedience. Only God knows that. And only you know that. So the question for us, can I be counted on to obey and do what's right? Can I be counted on being gracious? And can I be counted on being hospitable and accepting? The grace of Jesus Christ that has been given to us should lead us to be obedient, to be gracious, and to be hospitable. So can you say that to the person sitting next to you? Be obedient. Come on. Be obedient. Be gracious. Be hospitable. For that is God's will for us in Christ Jesus.